In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, James and I, we are going to share our thoughts from the 2024 Nike Hoop Summit. We're going to break this episode up into two parts, the World Team and Team USA. Stay tuned. Shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe. Like I mentioned in the open, my co-host for today is my brother, James Barlowe. We're giving you two different perspectives from this Hoop Summit because I was actually there for the game in Portland and James watched on TV. And sometimes, you get a totally different perspective of the game when you're listening to the commentators as opposed to when you're just at the game. I know I miss different things being at the game sometimes, and that's why a lot of scouts I've talked to actually watch the game, or they're there at the game and then they go back and watch the game or watch film on TV. So we're just going to give you our two different perspectives. But if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure you click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode, because it is officially NBA draft season. There's only a few prospects that are still playing, and those guys are playing overseas. But college basketball is over, G League is over, and a lot of the prospects are now at their pre-draft workout in their cities. They're preparing for the combine, which is less than 30 days away. Before I get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Monopoly is like one of my favorite games. I just haven't had enough people over the house to play, and the Barlowe Monopoly games are pretty intense, but I have a competitive side, and I am a big fan of Monopoly Go, which is the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, which is free on the App Store or Google Play. So maybe we can have the Barlowe Monopoly game.
Let me go ahead and download that now.
Yeah, go ahead and download this. All right, let's talk about this Nike Hoop Summit 2024. We're going to break this up into two episodes. This one is about the World Team. I was actually in Portland. I didn't get a chance to go to the practices, but I talked to different people about who looked good at the practices and so on. But yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on the player that stood out to you the most from the World Team.
Well, first, let me tell you why I wasn't in Portland. I was in Omaha for the Adidas, the first Adidas event, the
3SSB.
3SSB.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was working still, man. Let's not make it sound like I was just chilling. Now,
No, you was working.
the standout, and it's crazy because I texted you, Ralph, and I was like, I think it was maybe 2 minutes into the game. I was like, Traore is just a height to me. And then he just went off. As soon as I texted it to you, he went off from that moment on, and he
I
did
thought he was
not
going
stop.
off before that, though. I thought he was playing well way before you had sent the text. And maybe you sent it and I didn't get it right away. But when you had text me, I was like, man, I'm looking at it right now. When you text me, I was like, he's got 5 points so far.
I know, but maybe you know what it was. Maybe he didn't stand out enough to me when I saw him at Basketball Without Borders.
No, I agree with that 100%.
So maybe that's why I took in a preconceived notion that he was just all right. And then, he ran off 5. I know he hit a step back 3 that was very impressive.
Yep.
But when I texted you, it's like he intercepted the text and he just really went off from there. And like I have a new evaluation, a newfound respect for Nolan Traore. He's legit.
Yeah, I've seen him
Fast.
play in 3 different settings. So I saw him play this fall in Paris, and I watched him and I liked him. And I thought, okay, he's good. But it wasn't nothing to where I was like, hey, I got to tweet about this. This kid is going to be the next up. And then I saw him we saw him at Basketball Without Borders All-Star Weekend. And I wouldn't even say he was one of the top 10 players there.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe the top 10, but it would have been on the back end of the top 10. So I was like, okay, maybe he really shined in that setting I saw in France, but he was just okay once you got him around a better collective of players.
Right.
But then at the Hoop Summit, I thought he was impressive. I like his blend of size and speed. He has good size for a point guard, but he's fast. He's able to get to his spots. He actually had a couple plays that didn't count. I mean, it happens with everybody, but he had a couple of really impressive reads that didn't count for assists. One was to Maluach. I literally had
Yes,
the
it's
name
Maluach.
Maluach. I had it written out phonetically, and then right when I'm going live, I wasn't
I got it.
confident how I
I
said it.
got it right here in front of me.
But
Yeah,
he had
Maluach.
a beautiful pass to him that didn't end up being an assist. I mean, it was a simple basket that Maluach missed. And then there was a play where he was able to break down the defense out of the pick and roll, and then he found the corner man in the corner for a wide open three, and that shot didn't go in. But overall, I was just impressed with his size, his speed, his ability to play in pick and rolls, get downhill. I think he's has promise as a shooter. And you know what I like most
What's that?
about him?
What's that?
It's somebody's. I mean, people are going to be offended by this, but I don't care. He is. He doesn't play like the French point guards we've been seeing in recent years. I feel like France have been developing these point guards that were like 6'5", that only can go east and west. They didn't go downhill. They couldn't create their own shot. They were like defenders in a sense because they were long and athletic, but they weren't really point guards and they couldn't shoot well enough to be twos. And for him, he's got some game to where he can score when needed. He can find guys when you need to, and he can get downhill. He can shoot. The future's bright for France down the line when you figure they got him, Sarr, Victor,
That's not
Koulibaly.
that's not even counting the young boys. That's like 15 and
Yeah, that was
16
born
right
like
now.
2007.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy, man. I got
But
shoes older than these kids. But yeah.
but yeah, I was impressed with him. Like, and I think he's only 17. So I think he was him and AJ Dybansta were two of
Mm.
the younger players there. And actually, and then the kid for Team USA, that's like 16. He's big. But
Oh yeah, was
yeah,
it Quaintance? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But no, I liked him. I was impressed with his performance. But just like what is your overall scouting report on him now?
All right, so now that I done got a washcloth and wash my face and I see the vision, like he is fast.
Yep. At six
And
three.
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about those measurements in another segment. But he's fast, right? Whether he's 6'3" or 6'4" or however tall he is, he's fast. And that is a positive. That's a plus in the NBA. You gotta look at guys like Tyrese Maxey. When he gets a chance to get to his right hand, good things happen. And that's what I saw a lot from Traore. When he got to his right hand, he usually got to the basket every single time. I saw the step back three that he shot. That's always a good sign for me, especially like you said, with the French point guards not really having any kind of creation.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's tough, man. He's very tough. I'm definitely gonna move him up on my 2025 rankings now. Hopefully that this is a permanent sign of who he is as a player going forward.
Yeah, he finished with 18 points, 8 of 14 from the floor, 2 of 4 from three, 4 assists. Again, he's only 17. And so here's a question for you, and I've seen it posed on Twitter. Should he stay in France or come to the States to play college ball? I think based off of what we
Mm.
saw this year, hey man, stay your butt across that water. Do not come here to the United States. Your stock is going to be fine. Based off of what we saw from this year, there was not a single international prospect that came to the United States and their draft stock improved. You look at the guys at UCLA. Sarr was like, you know what, Sarr's stock improved, and he went to Australia.
Just
T. John stayed.
play one game over here and then go back.
Yeah,
And he
T.
played his
John
game.
stayed. Nikola Topic, his stock has, I mean, increased. Well, I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. So to me, it's a no brainer. Stay in France. Don't come to the United States unless you're going to a school like Alabama where they're going to give you the keys and run. But even then, with Alabama, I mean, Sears might be back. So to me, it's a no brainer. Stay in Europe.
The only player I can think of that came over from Europe that improved his stock is Keyshawn George. That's because he had no stock.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's 100% true. That's
He didn't
fair.
have
Yeah.
any stock, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, yeah, I'm probably stay. Look, if he stays over there, gets into the right situation, he's a top 10 pick for sure. Right? You come over here, and you go to unless now hey, well, Kentucky.
Maybe.
Kentucky's different.
Yeah, wait, we
Look,
don't. Yeah, I
we
don't
don't
know.
know what's going on with Kentucky as far as what they're gonna do. They're gonna try to bring in new guys. We're gonna try to win right away. We're gonna try to hit a home run with a 5-star recruit. But if he went to Kentucky because it's not Kentucky of yesterday, I think it could work. But it literally would have to be like Kentucky. Like, don't go anywhere else because who knows what else. But I agree with you what you're saying, man.
I'm saying
Stay out of sight.
stay overseas. Don't make a short-term monetary decision with NIL and then end up hurting your draft stock. You don't want to be like Baba Miller. You don't want to be like John Vita. You don't want to be like a Mara. You don't want to be like any of these guys that picked the wrong school. So stay in France and think about long term. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about AJ Dybansta, who I think is the best NBA prospect in the world right now. Some may disagree, some may say it's Cooper Flag, but I think AJ is the best NBA prospect in the world. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about VJ Edgecombe, and then we have to talk about the two African players, Khaman Maluach and Ulrich Chomche, who just declared for the 2024 NBA draft. But let's talk about Game Time, because Game Time is my favorite app when it comes to buying tickets. And Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the first pitch. And they have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Game Time has last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% on sports, concerts, comedy, theaters. They have flash deals where you can save even more, and exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. And then they have the zone deals where you can save even more money when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. They have the all-in pricing, which is one of the most important things for me. I hate it when I buy tickets on other apps and the tickets are, let's say, $50, and then right when I'm about to pay for it, I find out that the ticket is now $150 because they had some prices that weren't included. And with Game Time, you can just toggle the feature and you can see the full total up front. So there's no surprise fees at checkout. Again, you get the views from the seat, and it's actually from the actual arena or venue. So it's not like a template. And then they have the lowest price guarantee. And with the lowest price guarantee, they will credit you 110% of the difference. Your ticket is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, Locked On NBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, James, I've been told I am a competitive person. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man, you're competitive, man. We almost threw a couple hands playing basketball back in the day a few times in the driveway.
That was years ago.
Yeah,
Well, I got a competitive side. I know you do. And my
oh yeah, I'm pretty
competitive
bad.
side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. And I'm sure you heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It is a great twist to Monopoly, my favorite game, where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. And the best part is messing with my friends or my brother. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like Monopoly, but now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboard show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. but it's just not my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and family and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. It is Locked On NFL Draft time, and Locked On NFL's mock draft will be live on April 17th at 7 Eastern, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and for free on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. You can find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern to hear what the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the Locked On Fantasy Football angle. Locked On NFL, the Locked On NFL mock draft on April 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, second segment. I got to talk about AJ Dybansta, my favorite prospect in the world right now. The first time I saw him, it took me like one possession to be like, okay, he's got it.
Yeah.
He's got it. It's like a song. You know, I can listen to a song, I can hear the first 5 seconds and be like, skip. But with AJ, I knew size, athleticism, shot making. I mean, he's got the tools to be really, really special. And again, he's my top prospect in the world right now. What did you think about his performance?
Like you said, you told me about him. Was it last year? Took 2 possessions to figure out he got it. So he just the other night, he was playing too fast a little bit in the first half. He was out of control, and then he just figured it out. And like for a 17-year-old to figure it out in a game where basically everybody was playing really, really fast, like he slowed down and he figured it out. And even when he was playing really, really fast, he was getting fouled.
Yep.
So like he just has so much game, man. And he didn't even get to show everything. We didn't see him really post up either, and we know he has a post up game.
Yep.
So like, yeah, he's legit, man. He's really, 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 really tough, and I can't wait to see him at the next level.
Yeah, he finished with 21 points. He was 7 of 14 from the floor. He was 2 of 7 from 3. And I want to say he missed either his first 3 or 4 shots.
Yes.
And he had a few that were just rimming in and out. But then what I liked about him was, which I think he's a professional scorer already at a young age. And he has the mindset to, okay, my shot isn't falling. I'm just going to find my rhythm at the free throw line. And he got to the foul line, I want to say like 6 times in like the first half, maybe. Maybe it was at least, I feel like it was at least 3 trips to the foul line. And then once he saw the ball go in off the free throws, that's when he got warm. He was 2 of 7 from 3. But I feel like after the first quarter, where he kind of got his points from the foul line, you just saw the scoring package, the shot making, the athleticism. He can shoot over the top of guys. And then you mentioned that we didn't really see his post game. He's athletic. I mean, there's a lot to like about him.
Yeah, I wonder if I would grade him, I would give him a B because he didn't even show like nearly everything that he has. Like he would probably say, you know what, I don't even think I played my best basketball. That's how talented he is. That's how good he is. And I don't give him a B because I don't believe in his talent. I just felt like he could have showed a lot more. Maybe the event kind of got to him a little bit, but like I'm 100% all in, chips all in on the table, buying him as the first pick in this 2026 draft.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and write that in ink. It's gonna be some tanking going on for that young fella right there because he is the goods.
Yeah, and I thought the world team was going to be better, a little bit more competitive, and I'll get to why I feel like they weren't. But he was 7 of 14. Traore was 8 of 14. But the next player I want to talk about was VJ Edgecombe. He took 19 shots, 6 of 19. I like him. I have concerns about the shooting. he shouldn't have taken, in my opinion, 19 shots. I would not have wanted him to lead the team in shots. And so part of the B grade that I also give AJ was I felt like he should have took over. Like, hey, this is my team. this,
Mm-hmm.
this is my team right now. Let me carry us down the stretch. Let me lead the team in shots. But what are your thoughts on VJ?
Yeah, man, I have some, because look, I don't doubt his motor. I don't doubt his intensity. He gets after it on both ends of the floor, and he is very athletic, but he just seems like a raw guard from what I've seen. And like raw guards kind of scare me in a sense. It's just long term, they scare me.
Does he
Just
remind you when I think of raw guard, I think of Hamidou Diallo.
yeah. Now he doesn't remind me of him, but he is a raw
Yeah, a
guard.
guy that was athletic, and you're hoping like, all right, can he put it together?
Yeah,
And with
exactly.
VJ, I just think like it's got to be the shooting.
Yes.
It's got to be the shooting. I wonder how it's going to translate at Baylor. Is he
Hmm.
going to be able to score a lot of points in college? Well, I guess you don't need to score a lot of points, but is he going to be able to maintain his draft stock as an average shooter at the wing position? Because and I mean, I guess we can see it this year with some guys like Castle and like Stephon Castle, Isaiah Collier are probably going to be lottery picks, and they didn't shoot the ball particularly well. But with Edgecombe, and I think 25 is going to be a different draft, but I think with
Yes.
Edgecombe, I think his draft range is going to be heavily dependent on his shooting. And what's crazy is I don't think he's a really good shooter. I like the confidence. I definitely liked his confidence, but he took
Hmm.
7 threes. He took 7 threes. I mean, that was the most. I mean, Ace Bailey took 7. We'll talk about him in the next episode. And AJ took 7. But for VJ to take 7 threes as a questionable shooter, I wasn't too much of a fan of that.
Yeah, but there were some positives. Like I said, he rebounds. He got to the foul line four
Yep.
times. You'll take that. I just feel like he has a lot to be molded. He has to mold to figure out who he is as a player. But I don't doubt his like intensity. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna
Yeah.
bring he's gonna be a at the worst case, he's gonna be a high intangibles guy, right?
Yeah, and I think that he has what you can't teach, and the easiest thing is to make him become a better shooter. So I think once
Yes.
he puts it all together, he's going to be fine. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about a couple of the African players that have drawn quite a bit of attention. We got Ulrich Chomche, and then we got Khaman Maluach. They combined for like 6 points or something like that. And yeah, we'll talk about that. And then also, I want to hear your thoughts on like the controversy with the heights. Like I
Yeah.
saw the heights were fluctuating throughout the week. Stay tuned. All right, before we get into the last segment, I want to talk about Prize Picks, which is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and you can watch the winnings roll in. March is over, but the biggest moments happen in April, and you can be part of the action on Prize Picks for the NBA playoffs, and you can get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during the NBA postseason. And also, like I said, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with just as little as 4 correct picks. So you can flip $10 into 1,000 with basketball and hockey. Also, again, Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. So download the app, use the code Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today, use the code Locked On NBA. You get a first deposit match up to $100. All right, last segment, wrapping up this episode on the world team. Let's talk about Actually, we'll save the heights for last.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
You
want.
gotta let me take it to the end.
Let's talk about Chomche. He only took 2 shots. I didn't think I wasn't at the practices. I heard the practices were pretty good, but in the game, I didn't really see anything that like really made him stand out to me. He did have throw actually he did throw a
He
great
threw
pass.
he might have thrown the best pass of the
Yeah.
night.
A
I
dime
just want to
top of the
know,
key to a cutting edge come.
was that an see? I wish you were at the practices, and I'm gonna have to dig into that more. I want to know if that was an accident or if he really can pass the ball like that.
You think it
You
was a
know,
script?
sometimes
You think it was a scripted pass, like a scripted play?
I'd have to re-look at the play, but I want to know if that was like an accident. Like, did he just? Because I understand Chomsky is raw,
Yeah.
like unbelievably raw. So for him to throw that pass and it had a little spin on it too, makes me wonder. All right, was he really like that, or did he just do some raw stuff and was like, oh, I just threw one of the best passes of the night.
Was it left-handed?
It was right-handed, but he spun
Right-handed.
it like he hit the cutter and it had a spin on it. Like,
Yeah, I was because where I was sitting at, it was on the I was sitting on the baseline, but it was on the baseline of the opposite end where I was at. So I saw it unfold. And I was just trying to figure out, was that a scripted play where it's like getting the ball at the top of the key, then it's a back cut, or was that just instinctive? Either way, it was an impressive pass. That was probably the most
very
impressive
impressive.
thing that he did. But I want to talk about Khaman Maluach. I've seen the rumblings that he's a top 5 pick in next year's draft, top 3. I've seen top 2. I can't get with that. And I mean, just to be frank, raw fish. Raw fish. He's uncooked. I think he's in a tough situation. I heard he was good at the practices. We saw him play at Basketball Without Borders. He looked better there. He was, now let's just be real, man. He was bad during the game. 1 for 6. He just looked uncoordinated. The hands weren't there. I mean, he was jumping for pump fakes. Asa Newell was cooking him early.
Asa Newell had that game. He took it personally, like Michael
Oh,
Jordan
I
memes.
was I put it like this. And we'll talk about the next episode. I was there, right? So I was like on the baseline. I had really good seats, actually too good because I was behind the dang the stanchion. So I had to
Yeah,
move
you had
because
to
I
do one
couldn't
of those.
see. Yeah, I'm like looking to the left and to the right. So I ended up moving down. But like you could see at tip off, you know how like when you're playing, you can see when guys are like kind of bumping each other, pushing each other, slapping
Hmm.
hands off each other. It was something going on between them. It was definitely one sided.
Mm.
But it was like Newell was like, "Hey man, I see the hype you're getting. I'm not with that. I'm better than you." So, and he came out. I think he had like the first 5 points, maybe
He was
3.
on go.
And so for Maluauch, who's, I mean, I think he's going to be a good rim protector, but I think he's a fish out of water out in the perimeter. He doesn't want to go out and contest shots. He didn't rebound.
He didn't look. He didn't look like you said. He didn't look coordinated. He
Yeah.
looked slow. It looked like his feet were coming like you know how you ran track and you did high knees to stretch?
Yeah.
He looked like he did high knees to run down the court. Like he had Tim's on, man. He just did not look good.
Only
At
played
Basketball Without
14
Borders,
minutes.
yeah, at Basketball Without Borders, he blocked some shots, but he I didn't see top 5 pick then, and he looked bad. Again, maybe the lights were too bright for him, you know. I don't know. Maybe Asa Newell had some inside information on him and that got to his head. Maybe we see a different player at Duke, but he didn't look good at all.
Yeah, I have some concerns because I think he's a little bit more rawer, if that's a word, than
It
people
is today.
anticipated. And Duke's not a school to go to if you're raw. Like you got to get in and you got to get out because they're bringing in another 5 star.
All the boozers gonna be there in
Yeah,
2026.
the soon as you arrive on campus, they're already reaching out to the next 5 star. So you got to be in and out. And so I wonder with him if he's not ready to get in and out, what happens?
See, now look, and this is what this is gonna hurt. So Cooper Flag, who we'll talk about in the next episode, is I believe he's ready to go. But they're gonna play them next to each other. So
Yeah.
like, how's that going to work? You know what I'm saying? So
I had a
like,
conversation actually at the airport about that with a guy who's very familiar with the situation. And he was like, Duke doesn't recruit off fit. They just recruiting the best talent, and sometimes their pieces don't always complement each other, especially bigs. And he had his concerns that I mean, obviously Cooper's going to be the one that's going to look good in that situation, but he wasn't a big fan of the fit either. All right, let's talk about, we're wrapping up this episode. Let's talk about the heights. I didn't see it. I saw like people talking about it on Twitter. It will always be Twitter to me. I might have been on the plane when all of it went down, but I just kept seeing different stuff about people were growing and shrinking. Like, what happened?
Man, look. All right, so shout out to Mikey Weisberg. He put out the original measurements, and it said clearly. I read it twice. I read it again before we did this podcast because I don't want to be on here lying. But it said combine measurements with shoes. Right? 2 days later, a new list came out, combine measurements with shoes. Now, in 2 days, VJ Edgecombe went from 6'3" to 6'5". Both measurements were supposed to be in shoes. All right. Now, he was hooping in Wallabies. I don't know. Will Riley, he was 6'6". He grew to 6'8", but the first measurement, he had a negative wingspan. He was on that SV Maluach, right? So he grew 2 inches, and now his wingspan kind of evened out. Right? Chomche was listed at 6'9" on the first sheet. He grew to 6'11 and a half. I don't know about that, dog. That's kind of wild. What's the dude, the big that went to Kansas that showed up in like some platforms at the pre-draft? White dude went to Kansas, drafted by the Thunder.
Not
Yeah.
Cole Aldrich.
Yeah, it was Cole Aldrich. He said he was out there tricking people. We didn't see anything from him, but the young fella going to Kentucky, or not Kentucky, Kansas, said Fiore. He was 6'7".
But he looks small. Like, just being there and seeing him up in person, I think like, oh man, you got the game of a 5, but you're built like a wing. I think that
okay, so you say he looks small, but at first he was 6'7", and they say he grew to like 6'9". So he might be really 6'7". AJ, they list AJ at 6'9". Roth, is AJ 6'9"?
I thought AJ and Flory were the same size. So I don't know which is correct.
All right, and then Traore, he went from 6'3" to 6'4" and a half.
I saw at one place had him listed at 6'5". So I don't even know what to
look. I don't know how tall anybody is.
USA basketball is supposed to be the most accurate.
Right. And somehow, okay, and then Maluach only grew half an inch. So how does he only grow half an inch and everybody else is like, I don't know, man. It's wild. It'd be interesting to see how tall guys really are. You know, the Twitter conspiracy theories are saying that the agents put in those calls because, hey, man, VJ Edgecombe can't be no 6'3" guard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Chomche growing 2.5 inches and then declaring for the draft today, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I wanted to see Will Riley play. I wanted to see Hamad Musa play, man. What happened?
Yeah.
We was getting Tibbs minutes out of Dybansta and Edgecombe, man. Like, I thought this was a showcase, man.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to see Musa play. And then Will Riley won MVP. I think he was MVP at Basketball Without Borders.
He couldn't get any tick.
He barely played. I mean, there were some players on the USA side that barely played too. So I thought it was a showcase, like you said. I mean, there were some people after the game that were kind of like, what was going on with the minutes?
I thought it was just me.
No, because, what was going on with the minutes? Well, that wraps up this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. We are going to cover Team USA and talk about Cooper, Flag, Boogie Fland, Asa Newell. We got to talk about
Ace Bailey.
Whew. His Rutgers teammate and Dylan Harper. So you don't want to miss that. Once again, it's Rafael with my brother James, and we are out.